Good morning, students.
Good morning, ma'am.
I'm audible, right? Yes, I'm audible. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
Good
ma'am.
morning, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. So with continuation, because we had a long gap for the last class. So last class we have come across with this same class, that is sympathomimetic agents. So in continuation to the sympathomimetic agents, we are going to discuss in today's class also. So last class we have discussed about the same sympathomimetic agents. After that we have discussed about synthetic catecholamines such as isoprenaline, or which is also called as isoproterenol. So basically this isoprenaline, it is having predominant beta actions. It is having predominant beta actions than compared to the alpha actions. So among the beta actions also, it is having more affinity towards the beta 1 as well as beta 2 receptors. So the pharmacological actions you're going to see with respect to beta 1 and beta 2, that is the effects on the cardiovascular system and effects on the bronchial smooth muscles, that is predominant actions you're going to come across in these two regions. And we have come across with the pharmacokinetics and therapeutic applications of isoprenaline, which is also called as isoproterenol. Then we have come across certain adverse effects which are associated with the isoprenaline, such as it causes palpitation, sinus tachycardia, as well as serious arrhythmias. Then we have discussed about dobutamine. Dobutamine, basically it is a dopamine derivative, and it is going to be exist in racemic form, that is L form as well as D form. If you look at the racemic form of this dobutamine, so depending upon the racemic form, the action of this dobutamine is going to be varies. If you look at L form of this dobutamine, it is acting as a potent alpha-1 agonist. It is acting as a potent alpha-1 agonist. If you look at the D form, it is having alpha receptor antagonist. That means whatever the L form it used to produce, that all actions it is going to be antagonized by D form. And along with the alpha receptor antagonist, this D form also having a powerful beta 1 receptor agonist activity. That means the alpha actions is going to be nullified by D form with respect to L form, and where you're going to come across only the beta 1 actions. And since here you can see only with respect to the pharmacological actions on the heart. And if you look at the applications or clinical applications of this dobutamine, especially this drug is used in managing congestive heart failure, myocardial infarction, and even in case of cardiac surgeries, after the cardiac surgeries, for the purpose of management, this particular drugs are going to be used. And it is having certain areas such as there are chances of risk of hypertension crisis. That means if a patient is having already the history of hypertension, in that particular patient, if we use this particular drug, it will increases the hypertension. That is, it will raises the BP. And apart from that, since it is a potent hydrotropic agent, since it is having a agonistic beta 1 actions, so it is useful. It is useful in increasing the blood pressure in case of hypertensive patients. But at the same time, what will happen in case of patient who's having a poor heart functions? In them, there are chance or risk of causing myocardial infarction. It is also responsible for the precipitation of the main reason is because of the increased heart functioning. But this drug is an potent hydrotropic agent. So if you administer this drug, so what will happen? So because of the hydrotropic action, the myocardial oxygen demand is going to be increased. Hence, there are high chance of precipitation of angina myocardial infarction condition will become worsen. So apart from that, if you use this drug for a very long period of time, there are chances of the development of tolerance. That means at whatever the therapeutic dose you have administered, that dose, the patient will become unresponsive, or the patient will not going to be responsive. Then we have discussed about the alpha-1 agonist drugs such as phenylephrine. Apart from phenylephrine, we have methoxamine. So these are the drugs which are going to act as a potent alpha-1 agonist. Potent alpha-1 agonist. So under that we have phenylephrine. Phenylephrine, as I said, it is a selective alpha-1 agonist. And basically, if you look at the location of alpha-1 receptor, majorly it is located in the smooth muscles, especially in the blood vessels. So what happens whenever you administer a selective agonist means, as we know that there are different types of adrenergic receptors, alpha, beta, under alpha again some types are there. But if you use this specific drug, that drug is going to act or activate or antagonize only that specific receptor. For example, alpha-1 agonist means it is going to stimulate or activate only alpha-1 receptor, with whereas the alpha-2 will never get affected. So here it is going to be used basically this phenylephrine or phenylephrine or methoxamine. Basically, this drug will be acting as a potent alpha-1 agonist, and this particular drug is going to increase the peripheral vascular resistance, since it is going to be activate the alpha-1 receptor which is located in the vascular smooth muscles, and it is going to bring about the increase in the PVR, and as a result there will be increase in the BP. Then since this, if you look at the structure of this phenylephrine, it is doesn't have the catechol group. Basic chemical structure, you are not going to come across the catechol group. So because of the non-catechol amine, since this drug comes under the non-catechol amine category, this drug is not going to be affected by your COMT. It is not going to be affected by your COMT, which is present in the peripheral tissues such as liver. So then we have come across therapeutic applications of this particular drug. Basically, since it is an alpha-1 agonist, so if a patient having a shock which is associated with the decreased BP, then this particular drug is going to be used. That is, in case of hypotension associated shock, this drug is very essential, and also it is used as an mydriatic agent, and also it is responsible for the nasal decongestion. Whenever there is a nose blockage, in that particular case, you can use this particular chemical entity, that is phenylephrine. Most of the nasal preparations, you can come across phenylephrine. Basically, in most of the whatever the nasal drops we are going to use, that almost all the preparations will be having this phenylephrine as the major constituent. Then we are going to discuss alpha-2 agonist. So alpha-1 agonist is phenylephrine, methoxamine. These are the two drugs which comes under alpha-1 agonist. Today we are going to discuss about the alpha-2 agonist. So what is this alpha-2 agonist? So where basically the alpha-2 receptor is located? Where you are going to come across alpha-2 receptor?
P-junctional non-binding.
Yes. So if you look at alpha-2 agonist, so basically it is located in this alpha-2 receptor, majorly located in the SPGN. So what is in my SPGN? Sympathetic postganglionic neuron. And apart from this, it is also located, that is, it is located in the presynaptic on the sympathetic postganglionic neuron. Apart from that, it is also located postsynaptically in case of blood vessels as well as in the brain. If you look at the location of this alpha-2 receptor, it is mainly located in the presynaptic. Presynaptic means is mean by presynaptic?
Before the synaptic cleft.
Yeah, before the, sorry, I'm not able to draw properly. Okay, see, this is one neuron, this is another neuron. So this neuron, we are going to call it as presynaptic neuron. This is, we are going to call it as postsynaptic neuron. So generally the neurotransmitter is going to be released from the presynaptic neuron into the synaptic space. This is called it as synaptic space. So your alpha-2 receptor is located presynaptically. This is called it as presynaptic. So here it is going to be located. Apart from the presynaptic neuron, apart from this presynaptic neuron, so this is a receptor, that is alpha-2 receptor, which is located in the presynaptically, especially in the sympathetic postganglionic neuron. So apart from that, you're going to come across the alpha-2 receptor even in the blood vessels as well as brain. So this is called it as postsynaptic neuron. So across the postsynaptic neuron, for example, after the release of the neurotransmitter into the synaptic space, it is going to bind with the receptor located in the postsynaptic neuron or postsynaptic membrane. So there also you're going to come across the location of your alpha-2 receptor, especially on the blood vessels as well as in the brain. So what is the main role this receptor is? Basically, whenever this alpha-2, especially whenever these receptors are going to be stimulated by norepinephrine or any other alpha-2 agonist. So what happens? So listen carefully. Whenever these alpha-2 receptors are going to be stimulated by norepinephrine or by your any alpha-2 agonist, there will be a decrease in the neurotransmitters. There will be a decrease in the release of neurotransmitters. So whenever your alpha-2 is located in the sympathetic postganglionic neuron, presynaptically, apart from that, it is also located in the blood vessel and the brain. So whenever there is a stimulation of this alpha-2 receptor by norepinephrine or by any of the alpha-2 agonistic drugs, such as your clonidine. Apart from the clonidine, even one more drug is there, that is methyl dopa. So any of these agents, if it is get stimulated your alpha-2 receptor, that will causes the inhibition in the release of the neurotransmitters. So what happens if there is a decrease in the release of the neurotransmitter? What will happen? If there is a decrease in the release of neurotransmitter, so what will happen? There will be no neurotransmitter. There will be no activation of the receptors. So if you look at the norepinephrine or epinephrine actions, you can come out. So alpha actions, beta actions, and the major outcome will be increase in the blood pressure. So whenever there is no release of the neurotransmitter, there will be no activation of your receptors and there will be no elevation of the BP. So basically these drugs, alpha-2 agonists, basically they are used in the treatment of hypertension. So primarily these alpha-2 agonistic drugs such as clonidine and methyl dopa, these are the two drugs which comes under the class of alpha-2 agonists. These drugs mainly useful in the treatment of hypertension. And you people know that the receptor which is located in the blood vessels, which is responsible for the vasoconstriction, and hence there is a elevation of PVR followed by the BP. So since this particular particular receptor, even it is located in the blood vessel, what it will do means, whenever you administer this drug, even though initially it causes hypertension, but it is going to be after hypertension, there will be prolonged hypotension. Yes, this is how exactly this hypotension is going to be happens means initially because of the vasoconstriction, there will be a hypertension, but later case the same drug it is going to inhibit the release of the neurotransmitter from the nerve terminal. There will be no release of the neurotransmitter, there will be no active evasion of the receptors, and there will be no elevation of the BP. Yes, these drugs are mainly useful in the treatment of hypertension. So now we will see the actions of clonidine. Just a moment. Next is clonidine. So under this alpha 2 agonist, we are going to study two drugs, that is clonidine and methyl dopa. So what is clonidine? Basically, if you look at the structure of the clonidine, you are going to come across the basic structure of this clonidine has the imidazole group. So it is an drug which belongs to the imidazoline group and having an hypertension action. And if you look at the actions of this clonidine, so depending upon the route of administration, we have already discussed how the route of administration is going to affect the drug outcome. So here also, whenever you administer intravenously the clonidine, so what happens because of the intravenous administration of the clonidine, there will be a high plasma concentration. There will be a high plasma concentration. So because of this, there will be a rise in the BP you are going to observe. There will be a rise in the BP is going to be observed. But whenever you administer orally, so what will happen because of the first pass effect, by the time the drug reaches the systemic circulation, there will be a low plasma concentration. So because of the low plasma concentration, it will produces the fall in the BP. So depending upon the route of administration, the outcome of this clonidine is going to be varies. So whenever you administer this clonidine intravenously because of the high plasma concentration, so you're going to come across a transient rise in the blood pressure. But on oral administration, because of the low plasma concentration, there will be a decrease in the BP or fall in the BP is going to be observed. So why this change is going to be seen? That means initial rise followed by the fall in the BP. This is mainly because this clonidine has less affinity towards the alpha 2 receptor, intrinsic activity towards the alpha 2 receptor, which is present in the postsynaptic convascular smooth muscles. Okay, so especially at the low plasma concentration. So because of this reason, that means when you administer this clonidine, whenever you administer this clonidine at a orally, because of that oral administration, low plasma concentration is going to be attained. So because of this, a fall in BP is going to be observed. This is mainly because this clonidine has very less affinity towards the alpha 2 receptor, which are located in the vascular smooth muscles, especially at a lower concentration. So because of that reason only, the activation of alpha 2 receptor at low concentration is low, hence there will be no elevation or rise in BP. And whatever the antihypertensive effect of this clonidine is mainly because of the following mechanisms. So whenever you administer clonidine intravenously, there is a rise in BP because of the high plasma concentration. The affinity towards the alpha 2 receptor will be high. It will produce us the increase in the BP. But how exactly this clonidine? Because we have said this clonidine is useful as an anti-hypertensive agent. But if you administered intravenously, it is showing elevation of the BP. Then what are the mechanisms by which this clonidine is going to produce anti-hypertensive effects? Means, so one is stimulation of alpha 2 receptor present at vasomotor center. Stimulation of alpha 2 receptor which is present at the vasomotor center. So whenever this particular receptor is going to be get activated, there is a decrease in the sympathetic outflow. There is a decrease in sympathetic outflow. When there is sympathetic outflow is nothing but your norepinephrine, epinephrine will not get released. If there is no release, there is no activation of the receptors, there is no increase in the cardiac output, there will be no increase in the that is PVR. Finally, there will be no increase in the BP nor in the heart rate. So, if you administer intravenously, since it is not going to cross your BBB, so probably will not come across any central effects. But if you administer intravenously, you're going to come across rise in the BP because of the high plasma concentration, affinity towards the receptor located in the postsynaptic, because of that only on IV administration you have come across elevation of the BP. But antihypertensive effect of clonidine is mainly because of stimulation of alpha 2 receptor located at the vasomotor center, which is results in decrease in the sympathetic outflow. And another mechanism is this clonidine is basically and comes under the class or it is having the chemical structure of imidazole. So recently it is found that whatever the imidazole receptors are there, there are two different types, I1 and I2. I1 and I2, and these have been identified mainly in the brain as well as in the periphery. And what our clonidine will do means, this clonidine will bind to I1 receptor, imidazole receptor. I1 is nothing but imidazole receptor 1. So clonidine is going to bind to imidazole receptor I1 and activates. And whatever the outcome will be, it is mainly follows the IP3-DAG pathway. And finally, the alpha 2 receptor activity, especially the central alpha 2 receptor activity, will decreases. As a result, the central sympathetic outflow also will decreases. So because of the activation of I1 receptor by your clonidine, there will be a decrease in the central sympathetic outflow. So as a result, no epinephrine, no norepinephrine, no elevation of the BP. So this is another mechanism by which the clonidine will act as a, or it is identified as an antihypertensive agent. And another mechanism is so this clonidine, it is also identified and it is also going to activate the presynaptic alpha 2 receptor. Presynaptic alpha 2 receptor present on sympathetic postganglionic neurons, which is nothing but, so your clonidine is going to activate the presynaptic alpha 2 receptor. So this is called as synapse and this is called as presynaptic neuron. So on the presynaptic neuron also we are going to come across alpha 2 receptor. So your clonidine is going to activate this receptor. As a result, what happens? The sympathetic outflow will decreases. That means it is going to suppress the release of the epinephrine or norepinephrine, and hence there will be a decrease in the BP. So these are the three important mechanisms by which the clonidine is being identified as an antihypertensive agent. So one is it is going to stimulate the alpha-2 receptor, which is located in the vasomotor center. As a result, the central sympathetic outflow will decreases, and this results in decreasing the BP as well as heart rate. And another mechanism is this particular drug also stimulates I1 receptor, which is nothing but imidazoline 1 receptor, which is majorly located in brain and periphery. So whenever there is an activation of this I1 receptor by clonidine, there will be a decrease in the central sympathetic outflow, which leads to the decrease or fall in the BP. Another mechanism of clonidine is it is also going to activate the alpha-2 receptor, which is located on the presynaptic alpha-2 receptor, which is located on the sympathetic postganglionic neuron. Hence, when this receptor gets suppressed, the outflow will get decreased. As a result, there will be no PVR elevation, there will be no increase in the cardiac output. As a result, there is a fall in BP. So these are the mechanisms, these are the certain mechanisms which is adopted or which is going to be followed by your clonidine to be as an antihypertensive agent. So is this clear? The antihypertensive mechanism of your clonidine? Is it clear? Students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So next is pharmacokinetics. If you look at the pharmacokinetics of this clonidine, so basically this clonidine is going to be well absorbed orally. So whenever you administer the oral administration of this clonidine, so it is going to be well absorbed. Apart from the oral administration of this clonidine, even this clonidine is available in the form of a transdermal patches, that is TDP. So I have mentioned it as TDP. So TDP is nothing but transdermal patches. So the transdermal patches of this clonidine has a high permeation ability, that is the penetration ability of this clonidine through the transdermal patches, it is good, and whenever the transdermal patches permits a continuous administration of the drug, this can be used as an alternative to your oral therapy. Oral therapy means on time to time you have to consume the drug, but the transdermal patch, it is going to release the drug continuously. Hence, so this is going to be offers the better therapy than with the oral administration. And another thing is with the transdermal patches, with respect to transdermal patches, whatever the transdermal patches which is going to release the drug, which is going to be released at a constant rate for about a week. That means for one complete week, you no need to take the medication. Generally, the medication errors are compliance towards the treatment. Why it is not going to be happen means because the forgetfulness towards the medication is going to be happen with the patients commonly. So if the doctor has prescribed to take 3 times a day, 1 or the 2 times we may skip because of forgetting to take. So in that particular case, instead of going for the oral, the transdermal patches will give a better outcome. And even when you remove the patch, whatever the patch you have applied, even when you remove the patch, the stable concentration, the stable plasma concentration, it is going to stay even about for 8 hours. Then it is gradually get declined for over a period of several days. So clonidine is well absorbed orally, and it is going to be available as a transdermal patches. If you look at the transdermal patch, so it is going to permit the drug continuously for a long period of time. Hence, this transdermal patch can be used as an alternative to your oral route. And this transdermal patches will release the drug constantly at a constant rate for about a week. And whenever you remove the patches, so the plasma concentration stable for about 8 hours. Then only gradually the
কেন আমি আমার সময় তুই ডান্স করছিলিস না কখন তুই ওয়াইফাই দিয়েছিস বাবু তোর বাবা ওয়াইফাই
So generally, slow, then the level of drug concentration will decline. Then comes to the therapeutic uses. So in which are all the conditions we can use this particular drug. So basically this drug is useful in the treatment of hypertension, especially it is given orally twice daily. The initial dose will be 100 μg and the maximum dose will be 300 μg. So if you, that means usually along with the diuretic, it is going to be used in order to counteract with the sodium retention, sodium and water retention. So another thing is, so this particular drug is also useful in controlling the diarrhea in diabetic patients with associated with autonomic neurotherapy. So generally, as we know that this clonidine, it is going to stimulate the alpha-2 receptor. So whenever this alpha-2 receptor, apart from the presynaptic neuron, it is also located peripherally in the blood vessels as well as in the GIT also. So whenever this alpha-2 receptor in the GIT gets activated, there will be a decrease. There will be a decrease in the GI movement. As a result, the sodium and water will get retained and inhibit the bicarbonate secretions. As a result, it will be useful in the treatment of diarrhea. So this particular drug is useful in controlling diarrhea in case of diabetic patients with autonomic neurotherapy. And apart from that, this drug is also useful in case of migraine as a prophylactic. So what is meant by prophylaxis or prophylactic? What is meant by prophylaxis? What is meant by prophylaxis? Saitali, Sandeep, Monisha. What is meant by prophylaxis?
Mid-
Action taken to prevent.
Yeah.
disease.
So that means like whatever the vaccines we are taking, see, whatever the vaccines we have taken during our like childhood days, it's in order to prevent diseases against many, like it could be typhoid, it could be tetanus, any of this. So similarly, this particular drug is used as a prophylaxis to migraine. So basically, how means one mechanism is said that it is going to reduce the central blood flow. Hence, it is used for prophylaxis in migraine, especially at a very smaller doses. And this was used as a prophylactic to migraine in the earlier days. So apart from that, it is also useful in the management of nicotine, alcohol, and opiate withdrawal. That means whenever a person wants to quit from all this nicotine, alcohol, opiate, in order to manage these symptoms associated, generally when you quit from something, especially the central nervous, any drug which is going to acting on central nervous system, if you quit suddenly, it produces withdrawal symptoms. So in order to manage that, we can use this clonidine. Especially this clonidine controls the adverse symptoms or adverse effects which are going to be associated with the above said drugs. Apart from that, it is also useful as a pre-anesthetic medication. And it is used preoperatively for its sedative, anxiolytic, as well as analgesic effect. That means apart from this clonidine having anti-hypertensive, that is, it is said that it is used to control the hypertension. Apart from that also, it is having certain other actions. So hence, it is used in pre-anesthetic medication. What is meant by pre-anesthetic medication means before the administration of anesthesia, especially the general anesthesia. So generally during the anesthesia, sweating too much of salivation should not happen. So in order to control that, we are going to use certain as a precautionary measures. So that we are going to call it as pre-anesthetic medication. Before the administration, before the induction of anesthesia in a subject, we are going to use certain medication